Me like movie. Hey, what's going on? Welcome to another edition of Me Like Not Like. Today is December 16, 2025. I am Giuseppe and I still like movies. Just because I haven't done one of these in a long time doesn't mean I don't still like movies. It just means I've been working on another podcast about movies called the Retro Film Podcast. That's right, I'm throwing out a shameless plug. Starring myself and my friend Neil Damiano, we talk about 1980s slasher movies, 1980s coming-of-age movies. We toss in some of the newer movies here and there, sometimes for comparison, sometimes in a top 5 list of our top 5 favorite Christmas horror movies, top 5 favorite movies to watch during Halloween. You could check it out on Apple, Spotify, and on YouTube. Sorry I had to throw that shameless plug out there, but just so you understand what I've been doing, that's been taking up my time as far as not putting out one of these videos. But it's Christmas time right now. We're amidst the Christmas season, and Silent Night, Deadly Night 1984 is my absolute favorite slasher movies. It's my favorite slasher movie. I say that all the time. Yes, it's my favorite slasher movie. I'll always say that the Friday the 13th franchise is my favorite franchise, but Silent Night, Deadly Night on its own is my favorite slasher movie. I mean, I love the sequels for what they were. Part 2 became a classic because of how insane it was. But after all these years, we are in 2025, 41 years after the original, and a remake finally comes out. Now, I say finally because I feel like this was something that was in the works. There was one that came out in 2012, which was loosely based off of this movie. But Silent Night, Deadly Night 2025 stars Rowan Campbell, who was Corey Cunningham in Halloween Ends. Now, right there, when I heard that, that was a strike against this movie for me because Halloween Ends, to me, was the worst Halloween movie in the whole franchise. To me, it made Resurrection my second least favorite Halloween movie, which is tough because we all know Resurrection. We all know what we liked, what we didn't like about that movie. Halloween Ends just made Resurrection seem that much better. So Rowan Campbell, who I refer to as Corey Cunningham still, plays Billy Chapman, the main character in this movie, originally played by Robert Brian Wilson, and Robert Brian Wilson nailed this role. He was perfect in this part. Big dude. Once he went evil and went nuts, he was scary. But I do got to warn you right now, before I go any further, there will be spoilers. It's hard for me to talk about this movie, talk about what I didn't like, talk about what I may have liked in this movie without bringing up specific things in the movie. So I'm just giving you the warning right now. Please, if you did not see the movie, don't go any further. If you don't care about spoilers and you haven't seen the movie, thank you so much for listening. And if you've seen the movie and you want to hear what I think about it, again, I appreciate you sticking around. So let me get into it. The story starts off a little differently, similar to the original, where Billy is with his parents visiting their grandfather in a home, basically. Now, Billy talks with his grandfather, and his grandfather talks in this one. In the original, he was silent, couldn't talk, didn't move, didn't do anything until the parents left and started talking to Billy. But Grandpa in this one is aware, can talk, talks to Billy, tells him about Christmas and all that stuff, but then Grandpa dies right in front of his face. Little different from the original, but, you know, they go home. They're telling Billy that the grandfather died. But while they're visiting, Billy notices the janitor looking over at them, and as they're on the road, they're driving home. They're being tailed. Pulls them over. Guy comes out dressed as Santa Claus. It's the janitor from the hospital, and blows his parents away. But before he blows the mother away, she digs his heel right into his neck, and he dies. So this is one of the parts that kind of got to me, because this killer basically moved into Billy. The next closest person was able to take basically the soul of this man into him, and now he becomes the Santa Claus killer at 8 years old. He doesn't start killing at 8, but that storyline, that moment where he gets he basically becomes this Santa Claus killer, reminded me so much of The Santa Claus with Tim Allen. Tim Allen was the reason that Santa Claus fell off his roof and died, and now Tim Allen's character, Scott Calvin, becomes Santa Claus, and he has to fulfill all of Santa Claus's duties. Now, Corey Cunningham touches this dead janitor's hand, big stroke of lightning between the two of them, and this dead janitor, Charlie, his voice is in Billy's head for the rest of his life, telling him what to do. And not only does this voice tell Billy what to do, but this voice knows who to kill, knows who's good, who's evil, who deserves to die, who doesn't deserve to die. And he just guides Billy throughout the whole movie. Now, at this point, Billy's in his 20s, and he's been killing for 10 years. So I'm guessing he started at like 18. So now he's 28. He's been killing for 10 years. And that's what this whole movie is. It's him going around killing people because the voice of this dead janitor, who was the Santa Claus killer, is telling him what to do. Now, on top of him being this Santa Claus killer, there's another criminal on the loose abducting children. So on top of being this Santa Claus killer, he's got to find who this child abductor is, because he's got a love interest now. Now, there was no Ira's Toys like in the original, but there was Ida's Christmas Shop. Similar name. You wouldn't know it if you didn't check out the IMDb, but the owner of the store, his name was Sims. Can't remember his first name. Not important. Don't care. But his daughter was Pamela Sims. In the original, Pamela was just a girl who worked at the store. There was no actual relation to Mr. Sims. And again, let me just throw this out there also. There is going to be comparisons to the original because there is an original. People often tell you not to compare a remake to the original, but it's a remake. So naturally, you're going to compare it to the original. And I'll get into it if it were its own standalone movie. I'll talk about that too. So Pamela Sims, again, at least I don't remember them mentioning that their last name was Sims. Unless you looked on their IMDb, you wouldn't know that. Becomes his love interest, but she's batshit crazy too. She nearly kills a kid on a hockey team, on a kids hockey team, on an ice hockey team. Nearly kills 2 kids because they were picking on her nephew. And on top of that, the parents of the kids didn't press charges because, hey, they deserved it. In 2025, that doesn't happen. They deserved it. I mean, come on. We know where we are. We know how things go. Those parents would have had her locked up, no problem. But it didn't. But it also helped that the dude who's in love with her was basically the cop who got her off, did his magic and got her out of it somehow. On top of the parents saying that their kids probably deserved to get smacked in the face, punched in the teeth, to have their teeth knocked out at age 13, 14, whatever they were, by some raving lunatic. So the love interest between Billy and Pamela was a little more in this movie than it was in the original. In the original, he only fantasized about having a relationship with Pamela because he was still very shy, very scared, very nervous, even though he was a tall, handsome man. Billy in this one builds a relationship with Pamela. They become boyfriend and girlfriend. They do the thing that couples do without showing it on screen. Not like the original, where Linnea Quigley was naked in the movie. Just wanted to throw that out there too. Throughout this movie, as Charlie is in his head telling him who to kill and all that fun stuff, you find out later on that all the people that he kills, they're all bad people. He's basically a vigilante. I mean, it even got to a weird point where there was this one woman that he was told to kill, And Charlie knows exactly where to find her. And Billy goes to where she is. And it's this big Christmas Nazi party. I get it. We all get it. Nazis are bad. Yeah, go for it. But the whole scene was just out of place and so odd because it wasn't just him going in there killing Nazis. It was like he goes in there and he becomes like a ninja. He becomes it was almost like they were trying to redeem the actor by making him do to all these Nazis what Michael Myers did to the firefighters in Halloween Kills. You know, he was just tossing them around, doing like all these action moves and all that shit. And then this woman that he's supposed to be killing there, who's running the whole party, who's like the head Nazi mistress or whatever you call them, comes out and just starts opening fire to try and kill him, kills her own people. He gets away, not unscathed. He does get shot, but he doesn't die. And then he kills her as she's trying to drive away on like a, like one of those snow runners or ATVs, whatever you call it. But it was much in the manner of the way Billy in the original chopped the head off of the kid who stole the sled. He did the same thing to her, chopped her head off. Now, I will say this. There were some really cool parts in the movie that were nods to the original. There were some kills that were taken from the original movie, not necessarily exactly the same, but when you watch it and you've seen the original, especially if you've seen it as many times as I have, you know that some of those scenes, some of those kills were paying homage to the original. In the original, Linnea Quigley got lifted and pushed onto a deer head with through the antlers. In this one, it's his foster mother. The deer head like swings upside down and he pushes her into it, like kind of accidentally. He kills another dude by stringing lights around his neck and pulling him. He did that in the original, but he put it around his neck and lifted him. So there were some cool nods to the original, which I appreciated. I was able to point out. And another spoiler that they use the term garbage day. Kind of knew that was going to happen. But one of the great things I will add is that they used music from the original movie. Like not just the Santa's Waiting sung by the little kid at the very beginning of the movie. You hear that throughout the whole movie, kind of echoing low as, Billy's getting ready for a kill. But I'm talking about like the actual songs that were written for the original Silent Night, Deadly Night. Morgan Ames, I believe, was the one who performed them. It Must Be Christmas, they played. They played Santa's Watching, Santa's Waiting. But they didn't play Warm Side of the Door. Like, how are you going to play all those awesome, fun Christmas songs without playing the one that's like most recognizable to the fans, which is the Warm Side of the Door? I was like, you know what? If these songs are in here, that one has to be in here. But it wasn't. So that was a little bit of a disappointment. Not a big deal, even though I did get quite giddy when they did play the songs from the original. That was really cool. Here comes another spoiler. This is the ending. So you find out that all the people Billy killed were bad people. His foster mother, like when he was younger, she used to beat him when he would do something wrong. And the thing was, like, she wouldn't beat him as soon as it happened. She would wait and, like, strike when he's not looking. Okay, yeah, that's evil. That's fucked up. Nazis, absolutely. Fuck them. You know? You know what I mean? Like, I there's no question, like, yeah, no, don't kill the Nazi. No, who's going to say that? No, it's like, it was a wild scene, but it was also just kind of like, You know, if that room was filled with anybody evil, it was still kind of a whatever scene, you know? There's a man that he killed who was kind of hitting on Pamela, like, you know, in a cute old man sort of way where he does the whole, you know, if I were a little younger, I would pick you up or something like that, you know? And you kind of get the idea that this is why why Charlie tells Billy to kill this man because, you know, they try to play it off like he's a dirty old man trying to get with a younger woman. But no, that wasn't the case. Apparently this guy stabbed his wife to death and buried her in his basement. like out of nowhere, like this is what's happening. Like all these people are evil, like they did actual evil shit, and Billy is the vigilante who sets out to kill them because Charlie tells him to. So now we're at the end. Billy's on a freaking killing spree. I mean, he finds this child abductor and kills him. You know, he goes to find her with Pamela. He tells Pamela that he's a murderer, that he's been a murderer. And she's like kind of okay with it. She's like, all right, whatever. You know, so then Billy dies. Billy gets killed by this cop dude who's like in love with Pamela. But, you know, she's all upset and shit, but it's like, yo, he's running around with a bloody axe. Like, even though he killed a bad guy just now, he did just kill somebody. You know, I get the dude who killed his wife, he put the axe right through his head. I get it. He was evil. But no one would have known that if they weren't in his basement. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just the whole premise of the movie. I just wasn't with. Like, I didn't like the whole vigilante aspect of it. I didn't like the Santa Claus, like the Tim Allen Santa Claus, where like the last person who touches the killer Santa becomes the new killer Santa. Because at the very end, when he dies, Pamela walks over to him, grabs his hand, and this big rush of lightning between the two of them happens. She's now the new Santa killer, and Corey Cunningham is in her head. Billy Chapman is in her head forever. So now the torch was passed on to her to be the new killer. So my final thoughts on this, I didn't like the story. I did not like this story. And if it wasn't a remake, and of course, yes, we are going to compare it to the original. And we have every right to compare it to the original because, like I said, there is an original to compare it to. If you don't want people to compare this to the original movie, don't make it a remake. Because if this was just another slasher, another Christmas slasher movie, I probably still would have been interested in seeing it because it's a Christmas slasher movie. I like Christmas slasher movies. I like Christmas horror movies. I like Christmas movies in general. So I would have been a little interested in seeing this. I might have waited longer because it's Corey Cunningham playing the part. Even if it wasn't him playing Billy Chapman and it was him playing, I don't know, Brian Withers. It's just a name I made up. I don't know. He's the killer. Okay? This is just its own separate Christmas slasher movie. Nothing to do with Silent Night, Deadly Night. I would have seen it, but I still wouldn't like the story. I still would think the story is a little ridiculous. It's a little too much. Like I said, basically, it's what the Santa Claus was, the Disney Santa Claus movie. The last person to see Santa dead or the last person to touch Santa dead becomes that person, becomes that Santa Claus. It's not my cup of tea. The original will always be my favorite. Again, I know, don't compare to the original. I'm going to compare it to the original. Again, because there is an original. That's always a problem for people. People are always like, well, you can't compare it to the original. Yes, I can. Yes, I fucking can. I can compare it to the original because there is an original to compare it to. Don't give it the same name if you don't want to compare it to the original. Can't say that I was a fan of this movie. I gave it a shot. You know, my buddy told me, my buddy Corey said to me, he's like, look, go in there with an open mind. Shut your thoughts off before walking in. Because before it even started, before it even came out, again, Corey Cunningham as Billy Chapman, I'm not having it. I'm not having it. He ruined Halloween. How's he going to ruin another holiday classic, another holiday slasher movie? Halloween, Christmas, what's next? You know? So that's just the way I feel about it. That's just me. I know people love the movie, and they can love the movie. I'm not going to rip on anybody who likes the movie because I know I could see what they liked about it. You know, it's not like one of those things where I'm looking at it and I'm just like, oh, how could anybody like this? Why do they? No, I get it. I get it. It just wasn't for me. So, in closing, me not like. I'm sorry. I gave it a shot. Love the original Silent Night, Deadly Night. I love part 2. Part three was odd. Part 4 became a different story completely. It had to do with witchcraft. Didn't hate it. Again, that's one of those movies, if it was its own thing and not Silent Night, Deadly Night, didn't have the Silent Night, Deadly Night name, I'd probably still like the movie, though. I checked it out because it's a Silent Night, Deadly Night movie, but I would have liked it if it was called something else. Part 5, The Toy Maker, same thing. Love that one. But if it wasn't a Silent Night, Deadly Night movie, I still would like it. All odd movies. Part 4, Part 5, Part 3, all odd movies. And I'm going to say straight up, Part 3 was not my favorite. Love Bill Moseley. Met him. You know, got my picture with every one of the dudes from all 5 movies. Robert Brian Wilson, Eric Freeman, Bill Moseley, Clint Howard, and Brian Bremer, or Brian Bremer. I apologize if I said that wrong. But it's because I love the original so much that it made me enjoy the others. But this movie, the remake, final thought, me not like. Thank you very much. Appreciate you listening. Appreciate you watching. And please, if you get a chance, if you can, check out the Retro Film Podcast. Yes, another shameless plug on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoy your holiday. And maybe I'll see another shitty movie that I could talk about. I've seen a couple of good movies. I've seen some good movies that I really liked, and I just didn't get a chance to talk about it because of the Retro Film Podcast. So please check it out. If you like it, give it a like, share, and subscribe. I'll always say that. Thank you so much. Again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. God bless you. Like, share, subscribe.